Law school applications are up almost 38% year over year, indicating that this may be the most competitive law school admissions cycle ever. Today, I'll walk you through my analysis of the data from LSAT and what this means for your law school application strategy. For those who don't know me, my name is Steve Schwartz. I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and I personally increased my own LSAT score from a 152 to a 175. So according to data recently released from LSAT, law school applications are up almost 38%, and law school applicant numbers are up almost 26% compared to the same time last year. There's been a lot of noise about this, a lot of rumors and speculation about this, but know that these percentages are likely to decrease as the cycle progresses. There are some reasons unique to this admissions cycle explaining why so many people are applying to law school earlier and why they're taking the LSAT earlier. First and foremost, this year was the year that LSAT eliminated the logic games section, leading many test takers to rush to take the LSAT before or after the change, which led to increased test taker numbers in June and August. Because some people rushed to take the LSAT before the logic games change, and June was the last opportunity for these folks to go ahead and take it then. In contrast, some folks waited until August and took the LSAT after the change without the logic game section. But either way, a lot of these test takers were done with the LSAT by August at the latest and able to submit their applications when they opened in September. For both groups, those who wanted logic games and those who did not want logic games, either way, it front-loaded the testing cycle, inflating early applicant numbers. Last year was also especially slow as a cycle because a lot of law schools were updating their admissions processes after the Supreme Court decision on race-based affirmative action. So for both of these reasons, the unique nature of this year due to the LSAT change, and last year due to the unique nature of the law school application essay changes because of the Supreme Court ban on affirmative action, both years are unique, and this makes year-over-year comparisons especially unreliable at this early stage in the cycle. So we can expect going forward, as we get into November, December, and January, these initial high percentages will level off. We can expect overall an applicant increase of roughly 10 to 15% by the end of the cycle. I'm not expecting a 25% increase or a 30% increase or more year over year. A more moderate increase like 10-15% is what we would expect in line with other presidential election years like 2016 and 2020, the so-called Trump bump being that in presidential election years where Trump is a candidate, the law school applicant pool of college students and recent college grads considering law school, looking to make a difference within the system, going to law school. We see a spike in people going to law school in both 2016 and 2020. We saw a significant increase in the number of people going to law school, the so-called Trump bump phenomenon, meaning that presidential election years where Trump is a candidate, we see an increase in folks looking to go to law school, folks who are more politically minded, politically engaged, looking to change the system and make a difference in the legal profession. But these increases were roughly 8, 10, 12% or so. And 2020, we saw the most competitive admissions cycle ever due to both the fact that it was a presidential election year with Trump involved, and also because, of course, it was the first year of the pandemic. A lot of folks went to law school then in order to wait out the bad economy, wait out the pandemic by spending a couple of years in law school. Now, we can also expect that based on how the economy does, whether it's good or bad going forward, that could impact the law school applicant numbers as well. Basically, in years with a recession or economic stagnation, we can expect more folks to go to law school for similar reasons. And so based on how the economy progresses, how economic conditions unfold over the next few months, we may see that impact law school applicant numbers as well. Of course, when there are more applicants to law school, like we're seeing this year and like we saw back in 2020, the most competitive admission cycle ever up to this point, that means it's going to be a more competitive cycle. And just because there's an increase in applicants of 10, 12, maybe 15%, law schools are not going to expand their class sizes proportionally, which means more people competing for fewer seats. So you're going to want to make sure your LSAT numbers, your GPA numbers are as high as possible. We're going to see continued GPA median increases at all of the law schools because grade inflation continues to rise and law schools are looking to increase their GPA medians accordingly. We are also seeing a significant increase in applicants applying to law school with high LSAT scores. At the time of this recording, applicants in the 165 to 169 range are up 33.6% year over year. Applicants in the 170 to 174 range are up 37.5% year over year, and applicants in the 175 to 180 range are up 30% year over year. The 165 to 169 range, 170 to 174 range, and 175 plus range are all up significantly, meaning it's going to be a more competitive pool of applicants at the high end there, perhaps because people are retaking the LSAT more often than ever before. It used to be the LSAT was only offered 4 times per year. It's now offered 8 times per year, and it's easier to take than ever with the option to take it online remotely from home. And law schools, of course, do not average multiple LSAT scores, but rather they only take the highest score, meaning there's not really any downside to retaking the LSAT. Through luck alone, you could do a few points better, and if you don't, no big deal. Of course, this fall, the LSAT's been offered 4 consecutive months, August, September, October, and November, meaning all you've got to do to take the LSAT a month later is maybe take a practice test a week, review it in depth, and that could be sufficient to maintain and possibly improve your LSAT understanding. Of course, the temporary LSAT flex format led to significant increases in median LSAT scores because that format was easier. It was only 3 sections, no extra unscored section, and LSAC underestimated just how easy it was to take the LSAT from home, that it would mitigate stress not taking it in an unfamiliar testing environment. And of course, this is not discussed as much as it should be perhaps, but LSAC has become a lot more liberal in recent years about granting accommodations for extra time and extra breaks. They are improving virtually every single request for accommodations, and all you need is a note from a doctor or a psychiatrist explaining your need for extra time due to perhaps having ADHD or having testing anxiety. And of course, a lot of high-performing test takers may have accelerated their testing timelines due to the removal of the logic game section and knocked out the LSAT by June before games were removed. And so some of these factors, like the unique nature of this year due to the LSAT format change, may reduce in impact as the cycle goes on, but the factor of LSAT granting accommodations, that's not changing anytime soon. If only that's going to increase as more and more folks become aware of the option of getting accommodations and they get their ducks in a row to apply for those accommodations. And so while you can't control every aspect of how competitive this cycle may be going forward due to the increase in number of applicants, the increase in number of applications that students are submitting, you still have plenty of time to study for the LSAT and get the highest score possible before you send in your application. The January LSAT is not too late, and the February LSAT is not too late either, and there are ways I can help. I'd be happy to do so. At LSAT Unplugged, we offer live online classes via Zoom, on-demand video courses, small group coaching, and one-on-one coaching. If you're interested in finding out more, you can check out the links below to book a call with me and my team. We'd be glad to help you out, and in the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.